What up, guys? Welcome back to another video. This is a playoff prediction video for the Western Conference Finals, Minnesota Timberwolves and the Dallas Mavericks. So far in these playoffs, my predictions have been good, except for last round where I had the Nuggets winning and the Knicks winning. That Knicks series, we all know they should have won that series, but let's get into the video. Something we can do is judge these teams off the regular season matchups because Kyrie was missing most of the games they played against the Timberwolves this season, and Luka missed some of those games too. And plus, the Mavs made some moves at the deadline, which makes them look like a whole completely different team. So we could just throw the regular season matchups out the window because we cannot judge them off those matchups. I feel like this series is going to come down for the Mavericks of Kyrie stepping up because I know he's been engaged in different ways from scoring, like his defense and playmaking. But this matchup is gonna have to score because this Timberwolves team is no joke. The Mavs want if the Mavs want a chance, they need both their stars to show up and play. I mean, Luka hasn't been 100% since the start of the playoffs, but he's looking closer and closer to 100%, and they're gonna need both their stars to show up in these important games to make the finals. Luka hasn't had the type of playoffs we expected him to have. Lately, he's been looking a bit healthier, honestly, than he was to start the playoffs against the Clippers. But this is the Luka matchup, I feel like, where he needs to show up. He needs to be the Luka we saw during the regular season, and I think we're going to get that. One thing I feel like the Mavs should do is exploit the Rudy Gobert drop coverage if they're playing the drop coverage, because we've seen in the 2022 playoffs what Luka did to Rudy Gobert in that drop coverage and made him very unplayable. If the Mavs run Rudy Gobert off the court, it's going to be a very, very big factor in them winning. I feel like the media hasn't given the Mavericks any type of credit on the defensive side of the ball. Mainly, their defense is coming from PJ Washington and Derrick Jones Jr., who've played amazing during this playoffs. I have to give Derrick Jones his credit on the matchups of SGA and Paul George. I mean, the SGA matchup was kind of hard for him, but who could stop SGA, man? That guy's too tough, you know what I'm saying? But Derrick Jones Jr. is going to have to do everything he can to not let Anthony Edwards get into any type of flow on the offensive side of the ball. They just can't let him get into any flow because once Ant gets going, it's going to be hard to stop him. The matchup I'm interested in seeing is the Cat and PJ matchup because we haven't really got to see PJ guard anyone bigger than him yet in this playoffs, and I'm interested to see how he will handle Cat's size. Pause, that came out wrong. Cat is one of the more versatile bigs in the league. He's a 3-level scorer. He can score from the mid-range, the post, and the three-point line. I'm trying to see how PJ handles that versatility and how he plans on stopping Cat, and that's going to be a very interesting matchup to look into. I have two offensive focal points for the Mavs. One would be getting out transition because the Timberwolves thrive on their half-court defense, and we've seen what they did against the Suns with their half-court defense and setting into that zone defense. And from time to time again, we've seen the Suns not able to get anything to go with that defense. The other thing would be securing the ball on the offensive side of the ball for the Mavs because the Timberwolves average 17.8 points off turnovers, and those are very crucial points, and you don't want to give those up in crucial games like this in the playoffs, especially this deep in. The Mavs bigs I have a big question mark on them because they impact the offensive side of the ball with their offensive rebounds, but what other things can they do? If Luka's not operating good looks for them, what other things can they do on the offensive side of the ball? And they have a tough matchup in Rudy Gobert. Obviously, these two teams have been elite defense to start the playoffs, but for the Mavs to win, they need their defense to be consistent because what we've seen for game one so far for the Mavs is their defense comes out lackluster and they give up big points and early leads that they can't dig themselves out of. So being consistent on the defensive side of the ball is going to be very important for the Mavs to win this matchup. In this matchup, it seems like a very, very even matchup, but one thing I'll give the Timberwolves is their bench scoring, and especially Naz Reid averaging 10.1 points per game and giving them a bench spark. I feel like both these teams are very fairly even, but the thing I'll give the edge to for Minnesota is their bench scoring, especially Naz Reid. Naz Reid coming off the bench and giving them a big spark against the Nuggets was one of the biggest reasons they won against the Nuggets. If you've seen towards the end of fourth quarter when Naz Reid came in, he had an offensive spark, and he played very well on the defensive side of the ball against Jokic. In matchups like these, you need your role players to step up, and I think Naz Reid is built for these moments. During these playoffs, Anthony Edwards has solidified himself as a top 5 NBA player in the league right now. He's been averaging 28.9 points per game, 6.2 rebounds, and 5.9 assists. He's not only getting it done on the offensive side of the ball, but he's also getting it done on the defensive side of the ball. And you have to give it credits because many stars only show up on the offensive side of the ball. Sure, we know Anthony Edwards is going to show up, but is Cat going to show up? Cat is going to be a very vital factor in this Minnesota series. He's been on and off, but during that Nuggets series, he played exceptionally well. Very well, but can he do the same during this series? If Cat is playing to the up the par of play that we know Cat can play up to, it's going to be a tough night for the Mavericks, honestly. The other player, in my opinion, that needs to show up for the Minnesota Timberwolves is Jaden McDaniels. Jaden McDaniels has been amazing on the defensive side of the ball, so we're not gonna discredit that. But on the offensive side of the ball, he's been inconsistent, especially from the 3 ball. In the first round against Phoenix, he only shot 3 of 11 from 3, 27.3%. In the second round against Denver, he shot 8 for 21, which was a bit better from the last round, 38.1%. In the regular season, he was shooting 33.7%, but he shot nearly 40% last season. If Jaden McDaniels is not able to hit his shots in the corner or wherever it is, from the wing, whatever, it's going to be very, very tough for the Timberwolves to win this series because he's going to be getting a lot of open looks because the Dallas Mavericks like to blitz the best players on the other opposing team if they got it going. If Anthony Edwards got it going or Cat got it going that night, expect for Jaden McDaniels to be open majority of the time. And if he's open, he needs to hit those shots, and those shots are going to be very important for them. It's going to come down to him hitting those open shots, and if he's not hitting, it's going to be a tough series for the Minnesota Timberwolves. I wonder what type of defense the Minnesota Timberwolves are going to show the Mavericks, but I feel like they're going to show that zone a lot because they don't want Luka going ISO, haunting that switch for Rudy Gobert, because it's not good for them because Luka knows how to beat that matchup every single time down the floor. We've seen it, like I mentioned before, in the 2022 playoffs against the Jazz. This has been a tough decision for me to make on who I think is going to win the series, but I have to go with the Mavericks in 6. I know it's crazy, but I think Luka Doncic is going to just channel that inner Luka that we all know, and I think Kyrie is going to go crazy this series. Plus, this new look Mavs have been amazing from the end of the season to now in the Western Conference Finals. So it's going to be very tough. It's going to be a very tough matchup, a gritty matchup for both teams, but I got the Mavericks winning eventually. Let me know what you guys think about the video. Drop a like, comment, and subscribe, and we'll be back next time.